Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nas. Welcome back to another edition of the OmegaCast. And today's guest, we're doing things very different. First off, today's guest is my typical co-host for the show, Miss Aria Jaxon, soon to be OWA Hall of Famer, head
I want
writer
that on a
of the
t-shirt.
Odyssey brand. Go ahead and
Putting that on my resume.
I mean, we'll get through different bits of it over time. But before we get into anything of what you did, let's uh let's run down these questions here.
Okay.
So, our
I have
very
an
first
actual list of
question is
them.
from current God of War and Olympus head writer, uh, Nathan Cagington. His question
Okay.
is, Arya, would you rather fight a 6-year-old with a Glock or LeBron James with one leg? Well,
um, holy fuck. I'm gonna go with a 6-year-old with a Glock. Just because 6-year-olds might not have all their motor skills. Like, he could, like, forget to take the safety off, and I would be okay. LeBron on one leg, I think his athletic conditioning is still such that he could probably still kill me on one leg. Although I would hope that if I showed him I had a LeBron James jersey, he would second guess that. But I'd much rather fight a 6-year-old with a Glock. Yeah.
understood. Arya said, fuck these kids. Moving on.
That's what I
From
said.
from Miss Savannah Sunshine. Are there any matches so far in your EFED career that have been a favorite of yours or any favorite opponent? So we'll two-part that. First, just
Okay.
matches, period. We'll split that
There's
as well. We'll split that into that you've written, that you were involved
okay.
in, or just other matches that you had no relation to that you really liked. So let's start with what you've written.
What I've written. Well, okay, obviously, anybody who was there for this knows how proud I was of it. Uh, Jeff and I doing the Promethean Chamber. That's probably the thing that I'm proudest of, not just in my current tenure as a writer, but in 9 years of e-fetting. Like, it's been a long it's been a long time since I felt as good about something as I did after writing that match. And now that's gonna be something going forward that, like, we're gonna have more Promethean chambers in the future. Like, the other shows are gonna have it and it's gonna get used at some point, I'm sure. But Odyssey kicked that off, and that's something I'm really proud of. And I'm really proud of those spots too.
Innovation.
I'm really proud of the spots. I was really proud to see how the spots went over. Like, people were very engaged in that match. The fucking cash in afterward, people were so hot.
If I can tell you something, if I can tell you something right now, something I've always thought you were one of, if not the best at throughout your entire time, even back before OW's existence, when we were just regular members and shit. You were always, in my opinion, one of, if not the best innovator in terms of coming up with shit and creating shit that nobody had done or nobody had thought of or breaking barriers, all that kind of stuff. You were great
It,
at that.
I
And I
think
think that's
that
something that I think people associate with you, even if it's like subconsciously, it's something that they just naturally associate with you of all people.
I think that kind of comes from, and we'll probably get to this later, like when you kind of make me like step in the time machine and kind of push shit back so we can come back to this point. Um, like the feds that I was in before I came to this circle, they didn't do that special snowflake shit that existed in the feds that we all came from, where I met a lot of the people in this call and a lot of people in the fed. They didn't do that special snowflake shit. Like, a lot of the feds were intergender, and so you never had to do the whole, well, the women and the female characters have to prove that they're the shit. And so coming into Odyssey, I've done every move, and every action I've made has been with the conscious belief that this is going to put our show on a plane where we're level with everybody else. And Jeff shares that mentality with me, so it's really easy for us to come up with shit like the Promethean Chamber. where it's like, yeah, we're gonna close out a fucking show and everyone's gonna talk about this. I was really coming into the Promethean Chamber. I had a lot of anxiety surrounding, like, especially knowing that I was gonna take the last half of the chamber, and it's like this is how the show's gonna end. Like, this is gonna be the exclamation point on the show. I had a lot of anxiety surrounding, like, am I gonna be able to write anything that even fucking belongs closing a goddamn pay-per-view? And it was the first time that Odyssey had closed an inter-branded show, and for all of the anxiety that I felt going into it, the way that people reacted to everything made all of it worth it. Like, people were very engaged. I think that when people are engaged in the stuff that you write, it makes you feel really great about it. I think anybody who's written can fucking attest to that. People were really involved in, obviously, the cash, and people were so fucking tight about that cash in. I don't know when the last time was that I felt like
in a day or two, maybe 3 days, we're gonna be talking to your co-writer guy. I'm gonna be chatting with him in a couple days, and I'm definitely gonna make sure to ask him about the cash in too, because
people were so
I would
tight
say,
about that.
in my opinion, of everyone who recounts that situation, nobody recounts it better than Jeffrey.
No, it's true, because the way that people reacted when that cash-in went down, I was sitting in the chat like, oh my god, who the fuck wrote this? And it was me. I did this. I did that. I'm sorry, Carlos. I'm sorry, Diantha. I did that shit. But people were really, like, people loved the spots. Like, the spot where Yorona was gonna stab Diantha, and the spot with the Super Dragon surfboard into the glass shards. Those I was particularly proud of. And that whole sequence with Yorona and Janetta. Those characters mesh so well, and I'm just glad that those characters exist. Jay and Oasis did what they had to do with those two. They work really well.
Right.
What else am I proud? What else am I proud of?
I was just about to ask that. We can gush about this match for the whole 2 hours, probably, but we got other subjects to get to.
Diantha and Dulce, closing match of FD Night 2. Again, another situation where I was like, do I need to be writing anything that's closing a night of, like, our biggest show? People reacted to it really well, and I was happy about it. Azumi versus Stephanie versus Natalie, the Clockwork Orange House of Fun at Hardcore Havoc 2019. I remember nothing about the match itself.
I remember the fireball.
The Charmander spot. For people who don't remember or are not aware, I wrote that match a week after I had sinus surgery. So I was off work for 2 weeks, and I spent almost the entire 2 weeks drugged up. I had packing in my nose. I couldn't eat because I was taking antibiotics and I was fucking nauseous all the time. And I wrote that match in really bad physical condition. I was drugged the fuck up, codeine and Tylenol. And the match, all things considered, came out really good. And I'm still proud of that match.
Well, now,
if I could,
I'm sorry. Let's phase over to matches that you didn't write, but you were in.
That I was in. The Asylum. Oasis is the goddamn madman. The Asylum was fun not just to promo for, but to take a step back and watch. Oasis does really good with the fuckery, but he does really good with the fuckery and in balancing it and making sure that everybody looks legit, so it's not just a fucking meme match. The match that still gets memed, me and Cloud at Boiling Point 2019.
The no contest. The infamous no contest.
The no contest that closed the show. That I don't give a shit what anybody says. Like, all the memes in the world are not going to take away from the fact that was a really good fucking match. And Cloud snapped.
The match where you and Cloud went to a draw for the title, but then Keelan walked out of the show with the belt.
Keelan walked out of the show with the belt, and that was Keelan's high point. What else was I involved in? If I can, another Cloud match. From 2017, our Bloodletter match.
This is pre-OWA.
This is pre-OWA, yes. 2017. I guess we'll probably talk about it again later. But that match was very... It was during a very emotionally taxing time for a lot of us. Nas was there for that. One of a really good mutual friend of me and Cloud actually had just passed away in real life. And
yes, OWA Hall of Famer, the late great Miss Brody Sparks.
And we couldn't really use efedding as catharsis to deal with it because we knew her from efedding. So it was really hard to try to use efedding as a way to work through it. But all things considered, Cloud was able to weave something really wonderful out of that situation. And I'm really proud of what he and I were able to do with our promo, and I'm even more proud of him for being able to write that match. One more that I had that none of you were aware of. This is from early 2013 with my first ever efedding character. It was called the Platinum Chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And the fed that I was in was called Platinum Dynasty Wrestling. It was really ghetto. It was basically if Def Jam Vendetta was an efed.
Okay.
They had a show. I don't remember what the pay-per-view was called, but I remember it being in February of 2013, and the promotion's world title was on the line in some shit called a Platinum Chamber that was a 2-story elimination chamber.
Okay. What was it? Double stack pods?
It was there were pods like how many pods are there in a chamber? 4?
There's 4 pods.
4 pods. So there's the normal number of participants. It was 6 participants, but when the show started, all the lights were off, so you couldn't tell who was on the top floor and who was on the bottom floor until all the fucking lights came up. And I remember the dude who eliminated me was my first efed mentor. Funny enough, his pick base was also CM Punk, and he eliminated me because he did like a leg drop from like the wall of the cage down to where my character was on the canvas. So it came from the 2nd story crashing down. And he broke his tailbone. But that was how I got one out of the match. And I'm sure if I looked, I could find it somewhere. I'm sure I could find that efed. I know the forum still exists because I've been
a double stack chamber.
The Platinum Chamber. Yes.
Listen,
I
Jeff.
Find that shit.
All I'm saying is, one of us might need to write this down. We might need to save this concept for later.
But yeah, that match. That was 8 years ago, like toward the beginning of my time in efed. Like I said, my first character, that was one of my first efeds, and that still sticks out in my mind. That's my exclamation point for that one.
Well then, now let's finally get to the last part of this question so we can move on to... We're still on the second question. Jesus Christ. Okay, favorite match that you did not write, but you were also not a part of?
I know it's cheating, but all of the men's clashes that we've had so far, I have such a soft spot in my heart for Rumble type matches, even if writing them has almost killed me in the past. I think I just marvel at the amount of work that goes into it. I love when shit like that goes off without a hitch. What else has been written that I've really loved? I know I keep saying, oh no, April, the submissions count anywhere match that we had at Hardcore Havoc last year between Alyssa and April.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first time we had used that concept in OWA, and that was my idea. But I did not write it. Obviously, neither of the characters involved were mine. And I really, really enjoyed that. Great War, obviously.
Yeah,
Oasis,
yeah.
Oasis is a goddamn madman.
I'm pretty sure Great War
That
is in everyone's top 3. Like, it kind of has to be.
top two and it's not two. Oasis did what he had to do with that shit. The build up to that was would have exhausted I think any other writer. He planned that shit from beginning to end. Every all the overlapping plot lines, everybody had beef with everyone else. All of the different motivations and friendships and rivalries all culminated in this big ass cinematic match. And Kenny Drake fucking died. That I don't know
For now.
how I don't know I don't know I don't know how I don't know
He'll
how it
he'll
gets
be
any better
back.
than that. I don't know how it gets better than that. So yeah, Great War. Great War is probably my favorite match ever that I have had nothing to do with on any level.
All right. Okay, now there is one last part to this that I just noticed. Let's go over this one briefly, please. Favorite opponents. Just go on, rattle off some names.
You, Cloud, Oasis, Kenny, Jeff, Chris, Brody, who else? Mav is in here. I gotta say Rev after the feud that we had for the Outlaw title. I think that's it. I think that about covers it.
Okay, now let's finally get to question number 3. How do you manage being a multi-time champion with a crippling caffeine addiction? This is by Michael Bishop, the Outlaw Champion and member of the Big Oasis brand / the Frontline.
I was a multi-time champion before I had a crippling caffeine addiction. So if I wanted to do both, I had to learn how to balance it. And I didn't have a crippling caffeine addiction until like when did I start working at Staples? Like 2 years ago. So I manage. I don't ask me how I manage, but I do.
Along those that same vein, we once again have Miss Savannah Sunshine asking, "What's your favorite Monster flavor?"
Pacific Punch. Pacific Punch. Mav is gonna be mad that I didn't say Pipeline Punch, but I'm gonna go with Pacific Punch.
Now, our next question from council member, current Omega Heavyweight Champion, and the master of Rev's bank account, Mr. Nathan Fiora. Okay. He asked Aria, "What's the biggest piece of advice you can give to new efedders?" Or we can even broaden that further to new or new-ish OWA members, like people that have been around, people that haven't been here for like at least a year yet, which we have a couple of those in the call right now. So just what advice would you give to people?
I guess there's two. Usually when people ask questions like that, there's usually two pieces of advice. The first one is not to take efedding too fucking seriously. You're not getting paid. There are no contracts. This is not real life. It's supposed to be a hobby.
Unless you're Nathan Fiora talking to Rev, you're not getting paid.
There's supposed to be an element of escapism to it. Honestly, the person that I think balances this the best would be Kenny, and I've said this before, because he gives enough of a shit to put effort into things and to weave these great stories, but he's not a dick about it.
Like, speaking of which, the ghost of Kenny Drake has joined us in here. Everyone say hi. Everyone say hi to the ghost of Kenny.
I will be at your shrine later. Yeah, just don't lose sight of why you started efedding in the first place. Whatever it was that drew you into it initially when you first came across that first link or you made that first sign up, like, it's supposed to be fun. Don't fuck it up for yourself, because when you fuck it up for yourself, you inevitably fuck it up for other people. Don't end up like these weirdos that get roasted on eFed Twitter every week. Don't do it. You don't want that.
Shout outs to Jason.
My other piece of advice is kind of twofold, and it goes along with like your ability and how you feel about, how you stack up against other people. Don't compare yourself to other people, because everybody comes into efetting at a different skill level, and people are going to progress at different rates, and you shouldn't compare yourself against anybody else. And you also shouldn't want validation from anybody else. You have to tell yourself that you're the shit. You can't wait for anybody to tell you that you're the shit. And if you don't fully believe it yet, it's okay. Because again, people progress at different levels, and it might be a fake it till you make it situation. But for all the new kids, for the Miojins and the Kimberly Chases, you got it. You might not have the juice yet, but you're going to. And you have to tell yourself that you do.
I just want to say that especially that second half that she just said, that does not exclusively apply to younger people in the EFED or fresher people, newer people, whatever word you want to use. That applies to everybody, because she gave me that literal same advice. Me, not even a week ago. It couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I was like, not even a week. Not even a week.
Right, so where's our next question? Our next question is from the Twitter goon himself, young King Maverick.
Oh, the IRA goon. All right.
How did you feel when you were picked to be in the OWA Hall of Fame? Well, this is an interesting story because for those that don't know, I'm the person that picks who goes into the OWA Hall of Fame each year. I picked the 4 people last year, and I picked the 4 people this year, 2 of which have been announced, 2 of which that I'm sure you guys will all be very excited to see will be announced in the next few weeks. Aria being the head of the class, and her being in the council, of course, I reached out to her like immediately to tell her, not only do I want her in the Hall of Fame, I want her to head the Hall of Fame. So go ahead, give people your thought process when I approached you about that.
I went against my own advice. Was the first thing that I did. When I'm like, oh, don't compare yourself to other people. I did, because I was like, how do I stack up against like the other people who've already been in the Hall of Fame? Because in the case of the Hall of Fame as it exists now, we have 2 people who like actually did shit here, and then we have 2 people who are important to the community and influenced all of us before we even got here. So at first I was like, not only are you trying to get me to go in, but you want me to be the fucking headliner. And I'm really hesitant to give myself credit for shit. So I think at first I was in denial, and I was like, maybe I don't need to do it just yet. Like, maybe I could wait. Maybe I could wait a couple more years. But obviously I caved, I cracked. And I think, if anything else, I just want to use this as, like, I've already started writing my speech, and my speech is going to be really heavy on thanking people.
While I have you all in here, make sure you turn in your speeches and your remarks by March 24th. Please, we don't want any of the days of FD week to be delayed for any reason. Not just the actual days of Final Destination, but the festivities for the whole week. Please send those to me so I can get the show together and on time.
I felt like I was just gonna have to get over myself, and that, you know, people saying nice things about you, that's always nice. But there was this video that I saw of Mr. Rogers. He was accepting an Emmy like 30 years ago or some shit. And there's this part of his speech where he said that we all have people who have loved us into being. And being in this community, I definitely feel like that's true. So if nothing else, I got to the point where I was like, well, if nothing else, I'm going to use my speech to thank all the people who have made this experience what it is for me. There's going to be a lot of that. Brace yourselves.
Well, there you go. Everyone, continue to congratulate her with this great honor that she has earned. Now, our next question comes from your co-writer, former OWA world champion and man who is chasing redemption and vindication as we speak, Mr. Jeff X, asks, aside from dealing with me, as in Jeff, what's the most challenging part of being a head writer? First of all, is dealing with Jeff a pain?
No. I don't know why I see him. He's in the fucking call. I don't know why he's capping on this call in front of me. I really don't. I fucking don't. Because Jeff knows that I literally cannot be doing this without him right now. Like everybody, not everybody, but a good chunk of you who are in here now and who are eventually going to be listening to this, remember how season 1 of OWA made me want to commit both homicide and suicide. It was super stressful having to write by myself because that wasn't necessarily what I signed on to do, but I wasn't going to withdraw because then there wasn't going to be an Odyssey. And I give all the credit in the world to people like Oasis who are just built different, who just, they handle it. They deal with it. And I did through Keelan's initial departure, which was in October of 2018 through, I want to say, May of the following year was when Jeff came on board. I did it. I just sucked it up and I dealt with it, but it was difficult. And having Jeff around, having not only someone to split the workload up with, but having somebody to bounce ideas off of, and having somebody to think about shit that maybe I didn't think about, because I think that Jeff has a really good mind for booking, and he's very Oasis-like in his quality where he's good at thinking of shit for everyone to do. And together we're able to make sure that everybody on Odyssey from the top to the bottom has shit to do. So dealing with him is not a challenge. Not having him would be the fucking challenge. Aside from that, council members know this very well. I tend to live in my own head a lot. Like writing and booking are still things that I have a lot of insecurity regarding. Match writing and segment writing and putting shows together. I still feel like I have a lot of work to do with that. And for me, that's my biggest challenge, is getting to the point where I'm secure in all of that. So I really hope going forward that I get better with that.
You know this already. I, for one, always tell you how fantastic of a writer I think you are, how proud I am of the fact that you were able to stay committed to your writing position, and that, I mean, let's not BS about it. The reason I linked you up with Jeff, and the reason I did that was because I saw you showing the same signs of cracking under the pressure as I did before I got Chris and Cage to help me. And I said, I didn't want her to go through the same mental frustrations and the same breakdown as I did in 2018. So I'm going to get her someone that can alleviate that pressure off of her. And the very first person I thought of was Jeff. He was the best backup we had at the time, and I felt like he was ready to step up to a big position. And
I didn't want to ask him. I really thought
you didn't want to ask him, which is why I made the DM, and I said I'm gonna sit in the back, and I'm gonna moderate, but I want her to ask you, and I want you to communicate with her, and you guys got on the same page immediately.
Yeah, and now Odyssey is what it is. We have Jeff doing whole clashes by himself because he doesn't love himself, and he is fueled by determination and white boy redneck beer. And Jeff is absolutely my partner in crime. I could not do this shit without him. I would absolutely put someone in the dirt over Jeff. I could not do this Odyssey shit without him. So if he ever says, oh, Aria is dealing with the pain in the ass, tell him to shut up. You all have my permission to tell him to shut up. He is not a pain. If anything, he makes being a writer so much fucking easier than it would be otherwise.
So everyone give a big round of applause for Jeff X. He's looking for that second OWA championship.
You gotta break his foot off in Havoc's ass. Was that Rev?
That was Rev with the slow clap.
I knew it. I knew it was gonna. If anyone was gonna do it, it was gonna be Rev.
Oh man! So our next question comes from new member Kimberly Chase.
Hey.
She asks, which characters would you like to face in OWA that you haven't already? Who have you not faced at all in any kind of scenario that you think would be a fun match?
I feel like I faced I want to face Finn. It's insane that, I mean, in a one-on-one situation, it's insane that me and Finn, despite having known each other for 5 years? 5 years now.
Pretty sure Finn came along in what, 2016? Either late 2016 or early 2017. It was one of those.
We're at the 4 or 5 year mark, and he and I have never faced each other. I know we've been in the Clash together.
Yes.
But we've never faced in a one-on-one situation. And I think our styles would be very fun for a potential match writer to deal with. Never faced Keelan.
It almost happened.
It almost happened.
When he stole your belt.
Yeah. And I didn't get to break my foot off in his ass. That's insane. But never faced Keelan. Looking at the Kingdom roster, I faced Jeff, I faced Rev, I faced Arata, I faced Theodore. I'm about to hopefully face JD, which is weird because JD is someone else that I think we both joined the old Fed in 2015.
Yes.
Same year. Never faced each other. Shut the fuck up, Stark. I saw that. I faced Oasis. I faced Mav. I would like to face Goose one-on-one. I've never we faced
you guys were both in the Asylum match?
Yeah, we were in the Asylum match. We've done tags against each other. Never faced him. I faced Nate Cage. I've not faced Havoc one-on-one.
So you faced him as Christopher Sabretooth, though.
Yeah, but I've not faced Havoc. So if I get my holy water, I'd be down for that shit. As far as newer characters, Elijah Hampton.
Okay.
I'm such a big proponent of that character. I love that character. I love the promos. I love the theme song. I love Ricky Starks as a bass. I'd be so down to face Elijah Hampton.
I hope you're taking notes, Scott.
The Banshee. Morgan, when Jeff does his, I'm sure he'll gush about that character. Morgan is such a good efetter. Those promos are so good. That turn was so good. Morgan is so in tune with that character. And Twitter banter aside, that would be a fun one, I'm sure. Yorona, because I faced Oasis as Oasis, but never faced Yorona, obviously. I don't want to I would try to avoid being stabbed if at all possible, but if you're facing her, I don't feel like it's ever completely off the table. So I might just have to get stabbed and keep it pushing. I've already faced Arata, but I've not faced Hana Nakajima. And now that Hana doesn't know how to act, I feel like that would be a really fun dynamic. Yes, Kenny did stab me, and stop bringing up old shit. Face Natalie.
Let the ghost of Kenny Drake rest.
I want to face Alyssa. That is. That's another one that when Jeff does his,
that's your second coming.
I see a lot of 2015, 2016 Aria in that one. In that run that she went on with the Goddess's title where she was just bodying people. I saw so much of baby Aria in that one. Her and Nat / Hana / Arata. Those are the ones. I look at them and I'm I'm gonna build a fucking bubble cocoon around them.
So what you're saying is those are the two that will continue on your EFED legacy.
Don't call it that. Obviously I have nothing against our wonderful men who played these Odyssey characters because a female character is a female character. But I have such a fucking soft spot for these girls who play girls. I have a soft spot for Nat and for Alyssa and for Kimberly and for Dulce. Because that I look at them and that's me. And especially given that I started as a teenager, like, and they're all younger than me. I see them and I want to build a cocoon around them and I want them to fucking contribute to Odyssey being great in the years to come. But yeah, those are all the people that I want to face. I've been fortunate enough, especially with the outlaw title reign and jumping all over the place. I've been fortunate enough to face a lot of people that I wouldn't have faced otherwise.
Yes. So now let's get into the very next question from the self-proclaimed GOAT television champion, Noah Quinn, Sir TT, the 14-year-old.
The 14-year-old, the prodigy, the baby.
He asked, what would you rather give up, Monster or efedding?
I'm a fucking nerd. I just have to give up Monster. I'd have to think of something else. I would have to stay up at work some other way. I'd have to cave and start drinking coffee. Maybe I would have to start drinking 5-hour energy. I'm not doing Coke. Please stop. I'm a nerd. If I was gonna leave efedding by now, I would have fucking done it. But I haven't. So clearly this is a vice that I cannot give up.
Next up, once again from the Omega Heavyweight Champion, Father Fiora, leader of the Awakening. Once you've hung up your keyboard... Oh, wait, no, I skipped a question. I'm sorry. I skipped a question from Mu'un Gusei, former OWA champion.
I'm so mad you said that shit. Oh, my God.
That's how you're supposed to say it. That's what he said.
Mm-mm.
Ask him then. Ask him how to say it.
I'm just going to keep calling him Goose. It doesn't matter what he says.
How do you go tell him how to say his name?
Because if I was going to ask him, I would have done it years ago. It's 2021 now. It's too late.
Anyways, so, leader of Shinsekai, former OWA world champion, he asked, who is the future of OWA and why is the answer Devi Crisis?
Oh, God. The future of OWA. I touched on a few people's names who I thought are like, these are people that are going to be big in the future. So obviously, I see Nat as both characters, actually, Arata and Hana Nakajima being a fucking problem in the future. Alyssa, of course. Mav as both his main and as Rebecca, because obviously Rebecca has a title. Mav does not. I'm not saying that Rebecca should be his main. I'm just saying he should consider it at least. Theodore Pavel, I faced him. I was his first match, I think, actually. And he, especially, like, Oasis used this frontline storyline to elevate that character so much. I think if he sticks around, he's going to be pretty big. Myojin.
The boy.
Newer to OWA, obviously, but has been around our scene for a little bit. I think that character shows a ton of promise. I think he has a very good grip on his character. His character is really unique. And he has the promos that can actually back it up. It's not all flash and no substance. So I think he's going to be a problem going forward. I don't know if this is really a fair answer because he's been a world champion before and he just won the fucking Clash. But Darkane is somebody who I think you could build not just Olympus around, but build the whole fucking Fed around. And I hope Darkane stays forever and ever because I would be very sad face if he left. I love his promos. I like all his promos. Jacob Knight, all memes aside, because that was really heavy on the who the fuck is that guy memes during the ladder match last year, but he has a very bright future ahead of him. I don't know if this is, again, another fair one because he's had a belt here, but he hasn't been world champion yet. Rev, Michael Bishop, he has all the makings of somebody who is going to be around for a long time. And the promos that he was cutting, once he got all his military commitments kind of settled and once he was able to sit in one place and type, he's been so fucking good.
Yeah, he has.
And I say this as somebody who has had to promo against him on several occasions during this scary ass monster run that he's been on. That is somebody who is going to be a cornerstone of the Fed going forward.
There's 4 people on the current kingdom that I say in the next year and a half, maybe 2 years, have to, not necessarily all of them become world champion, but need to be fighting in the mix and considered in that group of the main event people on that show. And those are Arata, Maverick, Reginald, and Rev. Those
yeah,
those are the
RG3
those
for
those
sure.
are the 4. Those are the 4 future main eventers on that show.
Mm-hmm.
There's
In
other
other words, the
great
future is
people on
bright.
that show, obviously, but those are the standout 4.
The future is bright. I think as long as the writers keep writing for across all brands of OWA, like we have so much new blood and so many people who have yet to grab the brass ring that we're gonna be straight for like years and years. As long as Nate doesn't red button the Fed, we'll be good.
Speaking of which, Father Fiora himself, let's address his next question to you, which is, once you've hung up your keyboard, what's the one thing you want people to remember about your time in eFeds? Well, go ahead and tell us.
Once I hang up my keyboard, I want people to remember not so much what I was able to do as my character, not so much what I was able to do as far as promoing, because I wouldn't be the only person who's had a pretty decent eFed resume. But I want people more to remember what I did as a writer and a showrunner and a booker, and just the place that I was able to fill in the community in that regard. Like I said, I have a really soft spot for female efedders and female characters. I have to, otherwise I wouldn't be heading up the female show. And let's be honest, I think everybody in this call right now and everybody who's gonna end up listening to this shit, like you see you see some of the shit that female efedders go through. Like
There are
you've
people in this
seen
call right now that cause it.
you've seen some of the shit that happens. And again, I started EFED. I was a 17-year-old girl EFEDing in the year of our Lord 2012, when the internet and EFEDing were arguably more Wild West-ish than it is now, like by a country fucking mile. And my responsibility now as someone running a female show and now being a little bit older, like I guess now I'm like median EFED age as opposed to being really young. Most people now are in my age bracket, like mid to late 20s. It's my responsibility to leave this place better than I left it, to leave EFEDing better than I left it, to get rid of all that special snowflake mentality that if you're a woman and you're competing against men, that you're somehow better, that competing against solely women is soft or makes you inferior. I want people to remember that I go to bat for my roster, and anybody in the council chat will tell you I am fucking loud and fucking vocal in the council chat about getting my roster the opportunities that I know they deserve, and Jeff is with me on that. I want people to remember me as somebody who gave a lot to this place and wanted OWA to succeed from day one, wanted Odyssey to succeed from day one. You know, some people joke that I'm scary or that I'm intimidating, but I think really all it is I just have this really maternal instinct toward this place, and I want OWA to be around even when I'm not. And I want my roster and everybody in this Fed to know that they can do anything within this stupid little eFed realm. I want to be that person who, when somebody's like, I don't know if I can promo against this person. I don't know if I can make this character pop. I don't know if I can write this promo. You can do it because Aria said you could.
And there you have it. I don't know what to add to that. But you better listen to this woman, because she's only spitting facts. I just want to take this time to say we have a rare sight in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Wolves Eternum, because we have both the spirit of Kenny Drake and JD Damon in the call right now.
JD is here. We actually have confirmation that he exists. That's rare. I feel like Kenny, like dead Kenny, is like a bat signal, and that drew JD in. Like his spidey sense tingled, and he was like, "Oh, Kenny's in here. I gotta join."
Now let's get to our next question from Awakening member and television champion TT. His second question is, when will Debbie Crisis and Azarine Vebens join the Queens of Wrestling?
What's wrong with the group they have now? What's wrong with their tag team? Why they gotta join us? Listen, they challenged for the tag belts at what show was it, Civil War?
Yeah, they did the three-way tag match.
Yeah, you wrote that. So
I did write that match.
Their team is fine the way it is.
Quite the performance from their team as well. You got to give it up to them. They certainly fought quite valiantly. They
if nothing else, I'm gonna pat them on the back for a job well done, because I mean they showed up and they tried, and you can't ask for too much more than that. Oasis, shut up.
Now, Mr. Gousset has another question for you. He asked, what's the name of Johnny... I don't know who Johnny Galgano is. I know who Johnny Gargano is. But he's asking what's the name of Johnny Galgano's wife. Something Lorraine.
I'm not doing this. You better try this shit on Savannah or somebody else, because I don't fall for the dick jokes. Next question.
Okay, well, let's get to our next question. Jeff, that's not a question for Aria.
I don't know what the question is.
Jeff asked, why do I fear my mother at Jenga?
I mean, you can answer it if you want.
I do not fear my mother at Jenga.
I mean, it's not for me, but like the people want to know.
Listen, I needed to not play Jenga so I could be here to give the people what they didn't ask for, but apparently a lot of you ended up wanting.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here right now.
Not a single one of you asked for this, but you're all here to take it.
Pause.
How you gonna pause me? I didn't decide to pause.
But I did, and I'm the guest.
Damn. It really be like that.
Pause.
You walk into somebody else's house and you start making rules in their house like you're John Cena on Total Bellas.
I didn't. That was John Cena's house. He was allowed to make some rules. Hold on, Nikki was coming into his house and he's like, I got all these stupid ass little rules that you need to follow, and look what happened. They're not together anymore.
Anyways. Young Myojin has a question for you.
Okay.
He said, fuck is an Odyssey. Isn't that a Greek story?
That was the point. We were trying to stick with the Greek theme. I should also mention, I came up with the name Odyssey. I was Googling and Wikipedia-ing anything that had to do with Greek mythology.
Now, I just want everyone to DM.
That wasn't a joke. That was a joke, not an actual.
Oh. Okay. My bad. Well, I just want to take this time because that actually made me think of something. I want everyone to send a direct message to Mr. Jason Howard, and I want you all to berate him for the fact that Kingdom as a brand name does not fit the Greek mythology gimmick of the Federation.
It's too late now. It's too late. These are 2018 problems.
I'm playing Don't Do That.
It's too late, because now there's going to be people who are actually going to do it, and Noise is going to have to fucking get rid of his Discord. He's going to close his account.
Well, okay, Rev has a comment that I need to read.
Okay.
This is not a career-related I mean, this is not career related, but the promo code Jaxon16 for Goto fans isn't working. Can I get a new one?
This is the U.S. Army's best and brightest. I want everyone to know that this is who they're sending.
I am not.
This is who they're sending overseas. We're doomed.
Let me see.
Why would you use my name to get a discount on Goto fans, implying that Azumi would make me pay for Goto fans? Like, y'all gotta pay. I don't. That's my teammate.
I'm looking for the next question. I'm seeing a lot of good comments here, but I'm looking for the next question.
Hack the account. Y'all are assholes.
Oh, here we go. Any favorite recent characters you've seen come to OWA? So we'll say like the last couple of months. We'll say since like August or September time. This is from Myojin.
Myojin, obviously. I touched on this earlier. I like that character. I think, like, let's be honest. A lot of times when people try to make characters like that, like the J-pop idol-esque characters, they kind of fall flat and they just feel like weird-ass fucking anime side characters. And I love his character. He does a really good job with it. Like I said, he actually has the combination of having promos that back it up because he can actually promo, and a very flashy, charismatic, unique character with great sig and finisher names, I might add. I put that on his sign-up. I'm just going to keep bestowing praise upon her. Nat, Hana / Arata. As Hana particularly, because Hana turned recently, obviously. That was also Jeff's idea to have her turn during the clash, build up that friendship with Becca just to fucking turn on her, and it was executed really well. I like heel Hana. I loved face Hana because she was able to do that that really bubbly babyface character without it feeling cheesy. Like it was like babyface Mickey James instead of fucking hustle, loyalty, respect Cena, although I love Cena. And now that she's a heel, I really love her heel turn. I think Kimberly Chase is gonna kind of be like a Morgan type situation, and Jeff will know what I mean when I say this. Because you see somebody who comes in and they have like promise, and they're kind of trying to put all the pieces together, and then they ask like, well, what can I do? And you get an advice, and then they take it, and then they put it into the character, and they put it on the promo page. And I think Kimberly could be the next person to come into that niche. I hope she is. Who else? I've already said his name as well, but Elijah Hampton. I really love that character. I think his promos are really funny. Those are all the ones that stick out off the top of my head.
Well then, shout outs to all those people. We're wishing the best in the near future.
Shut up,
See
Jeff.
y'all break through.
Jeff
So
said,
now-
Ari, you know all of the new characters. This Carlos Rosso guy could be huge.
He's been huge for the last 2 centuries. What are you talking about?
Implying that he was not feting during the civil rights movement. Get out of my face.
All right, so our boy Sharpie has another question for you. He asks,
I'm scared.
how do you feel about Ryo Sakazaki, Aria?
Hold on, I need a White Claw now.
Oh no. We're not here to bash anybody.
I like the character. I actually do like Rio the character. I promoted against Rio the character, and that is my my Kingdom roster mate. That's not a word. Always has built him up a lot to be a focal point in the storyline leading up to the Great War. He was an integral part of that.
Now, Aria, before you continue, there's a second part to this question.
Goose would do that. What's the second part to the question?
And follow up, no, really. How do you really feel about Rio?
Mm, I like the Rio character. I think he's gonna be around for the long haul. I know Oasis fucks with him heavy, and we know how Oasis is able to utilize people on his roster to their greatest strengths and make them shine. So I think as long as he sticks with Oasis, as long as Oasis hangs on to him, he's gonna do pretty good in OWA.
Let's see here. Our next question is from Goose as well. Goose is a question machine.
Good goddamn.
Aria, when are you gonna write a cinematic style match? What's your take on writing one?
I would actually love to do one in the future. I think you just need the right setup for it. Like, you just got to come up with the right storyline going into it. And I think I would just have to plan for it. Like, I would just have to figure out, like, me and Jeff would just have to figure out what's going to be that feud that's going to lead into it. Actually, I'm not opposed to cinematic matches at all. Because as much as I talk shit about real life wrestling, because it can be really frustrating, I actually do not have any sort of opposition to cinematic matches. I think they're fun. I think they're fun to just turn your brain off and to just watch the fuckery. The fucking, what was that shit the AJ and Undertaker did? The Boneyard match?
Yes.
Boneyard match? Whatever that shit was
the
called.
Boneyard.
That was fun. I don't care what anyone has to say. That shit was fun. It was supernatural. It was fucking Sons of Anarchy meets Poltergeist. I was in it. I was all in on that shit. And now that we're in OWA and we've had the Gooseland match and the Great War, there's a precedent that's been set. And I honestly, it's gonna happen. I think it's definitely gonna happen one day. It's just a matter of when.
So now let's continue on. Sir Revington has his next question for you.
Okay.
He asked, when are we getting OWA Bloodletter 2? That's the first part of his question.
Well, we kind of did. We did Pluto's Gate season 1, which was the last. It was Odyssey's first ever exclusive pay-per-view, and it was actually that last major show that we had leading into the first Final Destination. So it could happen in the future. I just don't know when, because our schedule is so much different now.
Yes.
But I would love to do it again.
The second question. How did y'all manage to drag Azumi out of retirement? Where do you see the Queens of Wrestling going from here with 3 members?
I need to clarify. It was not y'all. It was not y'all. It was Stark. I don't know what...
Stark has this strange ability to talk people into doing shit that they did not want to do.
And I don't know how. I never fucking asked, because I never, like, when it comes to shit like retirements and breaks and anything else, I never question the people, because I know that when people make those decisions, it's for a reason. And so I just work around it. Obviously, when Azumi came to Jeff and I and said, hey, I'm going to be going out at Game Over, obviously we were both bummed, because, you know, that's one of our pillars. That's
at the time her game was over.
That was so corny. My God. She, you know, that was one of our day one Odyssey people. Like, I had been booking and writing her since the very beginning, before the beginning of the brand, because she was around before Odyssey even was a thing. But, you know, with the headspace that she was in, she came to the decision, and, you know, we were like, okay, we're going to work with you. It'll be fine. We'll work around it. And it was incredibly selfless of her, because she's very old school in this approach. She was like, I'm going to use my last match to put somebody over. And she fucking did. Alyssa got propped the hell up off that. Not that she needed it, because Alyssa...
She was already well on her way. But that W pushed it over the edge.
It put her up and over. And so I was I was proud of her for that. And, I was like, okay, if this is really it, then this is exactly how she would have wanted to go out, and I'm not mad at it. And then Stark hits me up, and he's like, what do you think about running Queens, a 3-person group with Azumi? And the question of, how the fuck did you talk her into doing this was always in the back of my head, but I never asked. Because I wasn't sure that I wanted to know. I wasn't sure I wanted to know what kind of black magic he employed. But I'm excited for the future. Because honestly, Cloud and I we never even thought about adding a 3rd person. Like, it never crossed our mind. I think the question just never came up.
I asked to be a queen of wrestling.
As Celine, sure.
Bro, what's the problem? Every group of lionesses needs a king.
You tried to kill us on 2 different occasions.
Okay, that was after. That was after the discussion.
And like Stark said, it lined up because we're the 3 top champions of SSW, and we have common enemies in the Corsairs, and that was just how things lined up. But, Stark saw an opportunity and he took it, and everybody just happened to be down. And, maybe it does help that it's not as taxing because there isn't nearly as much effort required on the promoing front in SSW, but I'm glad he talked her into it because I'm happy that she's involved. And people know that I'm notoriously hands-off when it comes to, like, my characters. I generally will either say yes or no to stuff. I don't generally make suggestions. I don't try to armchair book. So I don't really know where the queens are going in the immediate future, but I'm already happy about it as a prerequisite.
Our next question, once again, comes from Sir Myojin. If you could make a stable and choose 5 teammates, as in 5 other people, you're already in the group, but then 5 other people, who would they be?
So 6 people.
Who would the 5 members be, and what would the stable gimmick be?
So 6 people?
Yes.
Like, oh god, it takes a gun.
You and 5 others. Oh my god, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't mention that. Don't.
Oh, it says, I hope your house burns down with you in it. That's a good question. So despite the fact that I am a face right now, I have a really stupid soft spot for overloaded, heel, fucking powerful stables. I just do. I can't explain it. It's one of the cheesiest tropes in all of wrestling, so it would have to be a heel group. I don't know how to do this without it being Phantom Troop.
let that die.
I don't know how. I need Stark. We need a human torpedo that we can just throw into shit that doesn't care about their well-being, doesn't care about anyone else's. I need Cloud. I need Azumi. I need Jeff. I need Jeff to just turn heel and get over it. I need Jeff there. And have we been in a tag team match before? I'm gonna throw you in there. So
Me?
It's basically like, yes. And then that's gonna be.
We've definitely teamed together.
That's gonna be in like a just a regular tag match.
We teamed. It was the end of year match 2017. The 5-on-5 that DDD wrote.
Oh, what was it? Oh, the show at the shrine.
The shrine, that's it.
Show.
Yeah.
We did.
It was what? It was you, me, DDD, SK, and who was our last partner? Amani, yeah, it was Amani. Against 5, I don't even remember who the 5 heels were. All I know is we kind of just jobbed them out.
Clouds and the Wild Boys. I'm missing one person.
Oh, the Wild Boys. No wonder we jobbed them out.
But that I don't know. Don't ask me what the group would call it. I hope Myojin didn't want a fucking name because I don't have one.
Okay, but what's the premise of our group? Why are we all together?
Because we're assholes. What was Phantom Truth premise?
I mean,
We
you kind of right.
We were assholes. We were assholes. That was the premise. You as a dick find other people who enjoy being dicks to people, and then that is your common ground. Our gimmick would be Hexagon. That would be it.
Let me see here. Oh, Rev asks you, when are we getting some shootings? I'm going to assume that he means firearms.
When are we going to get people shooting each other on Odyssey? Considering that Yorona's on my roster, it's a miracle that it hasn't happened yet. I have had her attempt to stab people. So I guess naturally this is the next progression. This is the next step. It makes you think, like, the fact that nobody from Demo Corps has shot anybody is crazy, because you would think they're all proficient with firearms. Like, Yorona was in the cartel, April was in the Air Force, Revy was in the military, and Janetta likes to hunt. So they all know how to use guns. Every last one of them. I don't know how. I have neglected to think about this up to this point. They all know how to use guns.
You saved it for the show of shows, Final Destination 3.
And then looking at this title match that we got lined up, we got Yorona, we got Diantha, we got Janetta. Is Diantha going to be the only person showing up to the ring without a gun? I hope not, for her sake.
Nah, she's black. She'll have a gun.
And she's from New Orleans. But considering that I'm writing it, I will say nothing is officially off the table. And, I mean, eventually we're going to have to do another Promethean Chamber. Will somebody bring a gun into that match? Maybe.
Speaking of weapons, our next question comes from Moongoose, and he asks, Aria, are you ready to face a flashbang again, though?
My PTSD says no. That spot. Okay, so in case anyone doesn't know the origin of the Revy flashbang joke, Cloud also wrote a chamber in 2017 in the Fed that we all came from. And among the participants were myself, Goose was in there as Revy, Savannah was in there, Azumi was in there, Haruna was in there. The chamber was supposed to be rounded out by Brody. However, she passed away the week before, and the decision was made not to replace her. So we just didn't have our last person in the match. And so, of course, with that Fed, we all brought weapons to the ring. Now, everybody else, you could see the weapon. You could see exactly what it was like. I brought light tubes. But Revy came out with a box. You couldn't see what was in that box. Turned out it was a flashbang. She used military-grade weapon in a wrestling match because the bitch is unstable. She tried to fucking kill me. So I still have unresolved trauma.
Have you never played Call of Duty? You can't die from a flashbang.
Do you think Revy knew that? Do you think she knew that? For all I knew, she might have just thought it was a regular grenade. I don't fucking know. And also, I have played Call of Duty, and I expect my Call of Duty and my wrestling to be separate. I don't expect them to overlap. I expect there to be no common ground. And
clearly, you didn't watch Rev's match at Crackdown.
Well, that was recent. Knowing what I know now, I should have seen it coming. But in 2017, I was none the wiser. And so when this bitch tried to Rainbow Six me, I was not prepared.
Yes, so let's get to our next question here. If you could have a promo battle with a real-life pro wrestler, who would it be? Who would you want to promo against in real life?
Part of me, like,
this question is from Awakening member and current hybrid champion Schuster or Mark Michaels. Yes.
I guess it depends on my alignment. If
you're face, who are you facing?
Face? And it could be anybody. if it could be face, if I'm a face and I'm promoting against a heel, I specifically want Trish Stratus from her 2004-2005 heel run. Because in my opinion, that's when she was at her best. She was so good as a heel.
Okay.
And I would love to promo against her if I had to be the face. If
you're the heel, who are you going against?
If I'm the heel, I really gotta run somebody down. I gotta pick somebody real facey face. I gotta make people want to shoot me in the parking lot. I want Edge right when he came back from that Achilles injury.
Oh, you're talking
I want Royal Rumble winner Edge. I want
yes,
Edge when
yes.
everybody was like, he can do no wrong. He is an Adonis who has conquered the odds, and I want to fucking run him down. Would it be difficult? Yes, because Edge can talk, but that's what I would want. I don't know how that storyline would even. I'd probably be someone's manager, but I could see it. I see everybody in the chat talking shit. I hate every single one of you.
Let me keep looking. Okay, so not a question, but Mungu's comments, and I wanted to read this comment. Man, California Dreams with Aria and Elle Landerson would have been legendary.
Let that die. My God. I forgot that existed. No, it would not have. It would not have slapped. That would not have been it. That would not have been the move. Let that shit die.
Let me keep looking here.
To be said, Fred. It needed, just let it die.
Stark,
Goose?
This wasn't specifically a question for you, but Stark ended up asking, why does Nate get to red button the Fed in all caps? Because earlier you said Nate had that privilege.
I imagine it would be Rev. I feel like he bought the right to do it with Rev's money. Some kind of way. See, he just said he does have it. So, I feel like one day, you or Stark or Jeff is going to say something sideways to him. He's going to be like, fuck it. No more betting for anybody. And just close this whole bitch down. Turn all the lights out. And, I did not make it up. I just feel like it would be... I feel like that's real life. I think it would be Nate.
Let's keep looking. It's a lot of comments. I have a nice voice. I have an ASMR voice. Wait.
Oh, wait. Kim said that.
Unless you sound like Scotty Adams, get the fuck out of my lane. We can't keep getting on him for his voice. There's way worse things to talk about than his voice.
Honestly, I'm not going to say Stark is wrong. Because I don't understand how, as a human, you sound like that in real life. Unless
Oasis, she actually DM'd it to you? That's amazing. Damn, Sav, why did you listen to me? It didn't have to be this way.
A dude shoddy. Why?
Let's keep looking.
Not a question, but Stark said, listen, what me and Jeff do in the council cyber server is our business. And I would just like to let people know none of that is going on in the council chat. So if they are in fact engaging in these activities, they are doing them in a side server or in the DMs. which is their right. They can do that. That's not my business. They're grown
Okay.
consenting adults.
From Schuster, what would be your dream OWA Survivor Series team? As a matter of fact, I'm not just going to give you one team. I'm going to let you build a whole match. You get to make 2 teams.
Damn, that's a lot of fucking people.
We're going to go... You can either do 4-on-4 or you can do 5-on-5, because those are the 2 traditional Survivor Series numbers, generally.
I feel like I'm gonna do 5-on-5 just because that gives me the opportunity to pick more people, and I'm just gonna go with just face versus heel. It's not gonna really have any. It's not gonna be brand versus brand. On the face side, I want myself, Cloud. I want Finn. I want Alyssa, and I want Jeff. And assuming that Rev's knees give out before then, I want him as our mascot. He does not count as a team member.
Why you doing him like this?
On the heel side, I want Havoc. I want you. I want Dark. I want Hana Nakajima. And I want Yorona.
That's a vile team.
That's the whole point.
That's the League of Supervillains right there.
That's what I want, the Injustice League.
Oasis, I can't do that. Oasis, I can't.
I got a new name.
Oasis, I can't ask her that question.
I know, because I scrolled up and I looked at it, and Oasis can go straight to hell.
I can't ask that question.
Oasis can go right to hell. On the express trade. That is for the Mori group watch. That is not for.
Oh my god.
That is not for the podcast. It's not even that I wouldn't answer it, because I would fucking answer it, but Oasis is wrong for that.
How many questions did this autist ask? You can't call Goose an autist.
Leave Goose alone. He means well. Is that all the questions?
I'm looking. There has I was assuming there was more, but I think it's just comments at this point. Spear me to the headboard, you can't. Oh, here we go. Rev with another question. When are we getting OWT Uprising Atlanta 2?
I am actually working. I've been at work when I get free time, working on both Uprising Atlanta, which was the one that was supposed to air with Civil War, and Toronto, which is the one that was supposed to go with the Clash, because obviously I need those both to be done before FD week, which is when we're getting Uprising Los Angeles 2, which is the FD week, the OWT FD equivalent. So hopefully those will be dropping soon, so that people can like catch up on that and get acquainted with all the storylines and stuff going into FD week, and see what all of our favorite NPCs and Wrestle Children are up to.
There's your big OWT update, people.
Before they all try to kill each other when we all get to LA.
Yes, because there will be Uprising LA 2, and there will also be the other thing that we talked about that will debut on Final Destination Week.
Yes. Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it will.
That's gonna be fucker is what that's gonna be. I think I already answered that question, Goose.
Let me see here. OWT Uprising Parkland Massacre when by Mav. You can't ask that.
Never.
You can't ask
Never.
that.
Fuck off, potato eater. Never.
Why y'all picking on Scotty's face when why y'all picking on Scotty's voice when his face is right there?
You are absolutely right. I can do that later. And yeah, I kind of answered that question as far as like what I want my EFED legacy to be. Like,
Let me see here. Now, Schuster asked another question. Has there been and has wait, blah, 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 I'm fucking up. Has there been any way that e-fedding improved your real life?
yes, it has. I think like I said, I'm a really big proponent of like e-fedding at its best, being able to be escapism and being able to be a creative outlet, and kind of getting upset when people fuck that up and take it too seriously, because I think it stems a lot from the headspace I was in and the place that I was in my real life when I started e-fedding. Like I've said before, I was 17 when I started. I had just graduated high school. I think I was like 2-ish months out of high school when I started e-fedding, and I was very much having a difficult time coping with like post high school life. Like everything is kind of coming at you at one time. Like, okay, you're not in high school and you're expected to do all this adult shit. And I was a teenager. I wasn't ready for that shit. And I was very much running from my real life at the time. I needed a creative outlet. I needed escapism. And that was what I got in e-fedding when I stumbled across it. And it has helped me at other points in my life. I joined the Fed where I met most of you guys in July of 2015. And about 4 months before that, I dealt with easily the worst thing that's ever happened to me. When my great-grandma died, we were extremely close. She helped to raise my mom and my aunt, and she was really involved in helping me and my parents take care of my siblings when my parents were younger, and that was easily the most difficult thing that I've ever been through, because I was not ready to not have her in my life. And I was still e-fedding at the time. And I used e-fedding to help deal with that. And despite the fact that we were on bad terms, all of us, when we wound up leaving that Fed a couple years down the road, I'm grateful that I wound up there, because I was at a point in my life where I really needed a creative outlet, and that enabled me to meet a lot of you guys. Another point, obviously, that deals with personal loss was when Brody passed. And obviously that escapism wasn't necessarily there, because I met her through e-fedding, and I brought her into that Fed where she eventually met everybody else, and everybody else was happy to meet her because she was such a fantastic person. And in that aspect, I didn't get escapism because I couldn't use e-fedding as an outlet, because e-fedding was where I met her, but it definitely helped to be able to talk to people about it. Because it wasn't like someone that I had gone to school with passed away. It wasn't like, someone that I worked with passed away, where it's more, quote unquote, acceptable to vent about it in real life to people. That was someone that I met on the internet, and that's not exactly something that everybody grasped. Like, she was someone that I met on the internet, but that was someone that I talked to every day from 2016 forward. That was someone that I had met originally in 2013. I met her when I was 18. That was extremely difficult. And despite the headspace that we were all in at that time, it was really great to be, at least if nothing else, be in a community where I could talk to people who were dealing with the same kind of loss that I was. So if nothing else, e-fedding is at least really good for being around like-minded people and being able to take your mind off of things that you need your mind off of.
It brings us all together.
If nothing else, yeah.
Speaking of being together, this next question from Jeff: how did a beautiful black queen like Aria Jaxon end up with a fucking cack like Aaron?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
How'd you get booed up with the Russian prince?
Fuck. So Aaron was initially one of the first people that I met when I joined the New Jersey prison camp.
You can't call it that.
Stop me when I start lying. I joined in the summer of 2015, and Aaron had already started winning shit by that point. He was one of the first people that I started talking to. He was among the first people that I interacted with because it was like him. Carlos reached out to me almost immediately because obviously he was running the women's division in the place at that time. Demon actually was one of my first friends there. Who else? Mins, unfortunately. Bailey. So these are among like the Ventura, unfucking fortunately, were like the first people that I talked to, and my ship partner, my character's boyfriend was fucking Brett Kennedy at the time. Now, Demon had orchestrated the split on screen prior to Baileygate, but it was.
Do you want to take some time to explain what Baileygate was?
Baileygate was the eFed scandal to end all eFed scandals. Baileygate was the story of how a 15-year-old girl with an internet connection almost brought down an entire eFed because grown men are weak. But it was probably about like a month or so before all that popped off. Demon had orchestrated the split between the two characters on screen. And it was funny because people had talked about it in promos, like how weird it looked that me and Orange characters were so close, despite the fact that my character was supposed to be dating somebody else, and it was said that it looked weird. And that was never our intention, because I will say this until people get it through their heads. Ara and I have never had anything like romantic going on out of character, like never once.
You
that
should.
Is one of my really good friends. Shut the fuck up. That is one of my really good friends. We've never.
That boy's going for his masters. You better scoop that up.
It's not even like that. It has never been like that.
You're not gonna find anyone better.
I think that just made it easier. Our characters also were interacting a lot because
Hexagon.
Initially, yeah, the hex. Like, both of us having beef with Hexagon was a big part of how our characters were in the same orbit, and in those early days, I was on. A lot of my appearances were on Showdown, which was that Fed's like flagship show equivalent, like the Kingdom equivalent. And Aaron was on Showdown as the world champion of the brand at that point. And then eventually
you would want the women's title.
We were like a power couple for a little bit because we both had belts. And then Aaron kept his belt, got drafted to Oasis's show, Voltage. And I was also on Voltage a lot at that time because I had the Young Lions Cup, which was designed to be an accolade for the mid-card men. But then I took it and started beating up Oasis's whole mid-card roster.
And that's when our whole little crew had first formed.
That was where the Golden Mafia comes from.
Because initially, let me explain this. So initially, it was myself, Aaron, Kenny Drake, and Carson Ramsey, otherwise known as Rami. It was the four of us.
Rami.
And then, Rami was the GOAT. I wish he would have stayed around. He definitely would have been Omega Heavyweight Champion.
Rami's too busy playing PS4 to give a shit.
He is. He's too busy on Warzone.
I hate him.
Anyways, after us four, you were added in, Nate was added in, and Keelan was added in. And that just became our little clique of people. Oasis as well, being the Voltage writer, he was in on everything.
Yeah. So that's where that came from. So how did that storyline couple come together? I'm gonna be G-real with you. I don't fucking know. But it makes people who don't know better kind of leave me alone. So I'm fine with it.
And there you have it. Next question from Myojin. Is there any title you haven't won but you want to win?
The Spartans title. Sorry, JD. That's really it. That is honestly it. Just because I've told people that I don't really have any intentions to join any other feds. I'm very comfortable. Shut the fuck up, Rev.
So
I'm
even
very
outside of joining other
comfortable.
feds, hold on, can I ask you something real quick? Just to
What?
clarify this, because there are going to be people that end up asking this at some point. So there are zero aspirations for an Aria Jaxon Women's World Championship run. Just to put it out there.
Fuck you. I don't know why you did this. I have such an aversion to like booking and writing myself, and I don't shade writers who have done it. Like, I don't hold it over your head. I don't hold it over.
It was a
Oasis'
mistake.
I don't hold it over Cloud's head.
I'm still dealing with it.
I don't hold it over anybody's head because I know it happens, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just an aversion that I have myself to putting in practice. Like, I know it's weird to say because obviously Cloud is on there and that character is so accomplished, and Azumi had done so much on Odyssey. Like, I just don't feel like there's a place for my character on Odyssey, let alone with the top title. Like, I'm proud of the fact that Odyssey has been able to elevate both.
So you feel like,
characters.
Just to put it out there, you feel like if you came to Odyssey and then you became the main event star and you won the world championship and you were headlining the shows, it would almost be like a regression for the brand, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because like I said, I take a lot of pride in the fact that Odyssey is able to elevate both new people, like people who are trying, maybe a little bit newer to feds, or at least newer to this circle, and people who are trying out just new characters, like Oasis with Eurona, or Jay with Janetta,
or how Carlos
Diantha.
was with Diantha.
Yes. On one side, or Rev with Rebecca, not Rev, Mav with Rebecca. All these white men are the same.
That's crazy.
Or you have, like your Alyssa's and your Kimberly's and your Nats with the Hana character. I love that we're able to do that. Maybe it comes from, having spent so much time having Oasis booking me, and Oasis has always been really good at finding what makes people tick and wanting to make new stars. But I just feel like there just wouldn't really be a place for me. I just feel like, it would be a regression. It wouldn't make sense. Like, for what? For what reason?
And there you have it. Moon Goose has another question.
He does.
What is the ideal EFED legacy that Aria wants?
I kind of touched on this already, but I
had to ask it just because of the phrasing. I already knew.
I don't. Like I said, I don't want. It's nice for people to say that they like my promos, that they followed my run, and shit like that. But at the end of the day, there's so many people that can say the same. They can say that they've written good promos, or to say that they've won a lot of belts. There's so many people that can say that. But there's not a lot of people that can say that they actually gave a shit about the community that they were in, that tried to build that community up, that tried to protect that community, because y'all have seen how I go to bat on Twitter. Not everybody can say that. And I think ultimately that's more important, because you can promo all day and win all the belts you want, and that Fed might not fucking be there tomorrow if you don't do your part to ensure that it's going to be there tomorrow. So ultimately, Goose, I want that to be my legacy. I want my legacy to be of somebody who gave a lot to OWA and got a lot out of OWA.
All right, here's our question from JV council member and head of SSW Strong Style Wrestling, Majin Stark. The Juggernaut, Majin Stark.
Young Rayhan.
Rayhan Daniels, yes. He asks, which one of the world title reigns that you had, all world title reigns you ever had between all federations, which one was your favorite?
I gotta give it to Cloud for booking that women's world title reign.
So your women's world championship reign from 2017 going into 2018, before the Exodus.
Before the Exodus, and a lot of people who joined OWA weren't here for that. but there are also a lot of people who were in the Jersey prison camp and did see that shit, and I feel like arguably like that was when I was at my best. Like, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that reign happened because I was that good. And it's really rare for people to hear me talk about myself in that regard because I generally don't. I generally am pretty good at keeping myself grounded, but that was my God reign. That was my Okada run. That was
Yeah,
my
it was.
That was my 0405 Trish Stratus run. That was my never ending Charlotte run. That was my fucking Bruno Sammartino run.
Okay.
That I earned that shit. And I cleaned that division out. And I can say that despite how shit went down at the end, how much drama and stress there was at the end, I can say that me leaving with the belt was kind of poetic because nobody could have took it off me at that point. And I haven't felt like that since. So, yeah, that has to be my favorite.
Our next question also comes from Majin Stark. He asks, on this topic, I'm assuming the earlier topic of escapism, what are some of your other favorite hobbies or escapism outlets other than e-fedding?
I like to online shop, which is an expensive form of escapism, but it is what it is. I like to shop and spend money that maybe I shouldn't be spending.
Shouts to Amazon Prime.
Yeah, fucking Amazon Prime. I like to read. I actually do like reading a lot. I've always liked to read. I like to cook, baking specifically, and that one works out pretty well because my sister's a little bit older now. She just turned 15, and being that she can't go to school, like kids are doing online school now, she's home a lot, and she's on a baking kick. I bought her cookbooks for her birthday, and so that's something that she and I can actually do together. So I like to bake. I don't know if getting my nails done counts as escapism, but I do get to just go to the nail shop and not think about shit and come out looking better than I did when I went in. So I suppose that counts. So yeah, those would probably be that's the stuff that I do to not.
This is the Rev. I'm glad you brought this up. So Rev asks you, is it true that you feed your pet puma microwave, which is a story in and of itself?
Yeah.
People who have left Odyssey as punishment. So, tell us about Puma, first of all. Or tell us about Microwave, the Puma.
Okay, first of all, I did not name him Microwave. So, this is, I want to say it's an inside joke, but it's not really an inside joke because it's canonical. Rev wrote this out. But he was writing Embedded after FD last year.
Final Destination 2.
Yes. And he was kind of just jumping around to, different individuals and different, pairs of people or groups of people and just seeing like what their headspace was after Final Destination. It came out really well. I think everybody should read it if they haven't. I really enjoyed it. But at the part where he jumps to Arn and myself, we're in like a really expensive penthouse apartment in St. Petersburg somewhere. And at that point, it becomes canonical that he and I have a pet puma. And I should mention that I love cats. I have 2 cats in real life, but those are house cats. And this man gave us not a house cat, but he gave us a zoo animal.
A predator.
A predator that apparently we treat like a house cat. He gave us an apex predator that sits at my feet and that I pet and that I give meow mix to. And it hadn't really like come up in conversation at all until about a week ago. And talking about the OWT related idea that Nas came up with.
Nah, we can just say it. Fuck it. So we came up with an idea. Most of you already know about this because you were here to listen to this. OWA Hades. It's an idea that we came up with because randomly, I was just like, yo, we should just do our own, like, cracked out version of Game Show NXT from, like, 2010. And then we decided, let's just make it OWA Hades.
Because they're gonna be in hell.
And then we were talking about Aria being a pro, and then it came up that a challenge would be at Aria's house. And then Rev just happened to mention, if you're gonna be at Aria's house, you gotta deal with her fucking pet puma. And I was so taken aback because this was my first time ever hearing about this.
And I always imagine, I never imagined what its name would be. I always thought, like, it has to have some, because I just feel like I would name it some shit that had nothing to do with a puma. Like, I thought I would name it Cupcake or some shit. And then Rev is like, no, like, Arian is Russian, and if Russian is his first language, some things are not going to necessarily translate all the way over. Like, some shit is not going to hit the same way in both languages.
Right.
And he said microwave. And I was like, microwave it fucking is then. That's a goddamn meme right there. His name is Microwave, and that's my baby. And so I own a pet puma named Microwave, and I feed him cat food, and he sits at the foot of my bed. That's my son.
So there's a question from Kimberly Chase I'm about to read in a second, but I wanted to comment right below it on the comments that Jeff and Mav made in reference to me trying to hook Aaron up with you. And
oh my god, I hate men.
What y'all need to understand is this is my fucking guy. Y'all need to understand this. This has been my best friend for like fucking 8 or 9 years now. Like, this is my dude. Like, I always said, like, there's this one skit or this one like fucking like comedy fucking bit that Dave Chappelle did like way back in the day, where he mentioned he had this white friend, Chip, and they're telling a story. Chip was speeding, he was drunk driving. And then Dave said the only reason why he didn't tell anything to Chip was because he felt like it wouldn't have made sense for him to try and talk reason into him, because Dave was in the middle of smoking a joint. He was high as hell, so what was he gonna say? And I just said, that's literally me and Arn right there. Arn getting fucked up drunk and me just smoking. Because I'll tell you this right now. If I wasn't in the military, I would be a smoke monster. I just want people to know that.
Kenny have entered the chat.
I like having a secure pay line for the next 20 years. So I'm going to keep that.
Capitalism. They're not trying to steal it, Jeff. I'm just saying it existed before. And if anything, it existed like 50 times over with the entire Golden Mafia's dynamic, because let's be honest, I was the babysitter of that group.
She was, because
I was the only one that had
Kenny, we all know about Kenny. Rami was also a fucking warmonger. We all know about Keelan's antics. And we all know about Nate's antics. We were all fucking demons.
I was the only one that had any business trying to talk to the cops, trying to drive a vehicle and not be intoxicated.
Or high.
In any way. I was the only one that would have passed a breathalyzer and a field sobriety test. The only one.
I mean, I mentioned to people that I snorted coke that year. I was in the Rumble match where I got the 10 eliminations. That's how I was able to go that long and get 10 eliminations, because I was high off my ass.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Which makes it even more funny that I'm CM Punk now. But okay, so Kimberly Chase's question: how do you feel about handlers doing video promos? I'm sure you've seen these before. We don't do them here.
No.
Please don't. But
I beg.
video
I mean,
promos, how do you feel about them?
If the EFED calls for it, I don't see why not. I know that there are feds that do that. But yeah, Savannah got it. Phoenix Winterborn. His was ass. Phoenix Winterborn's was ass. Everything he does is ass. But I mean, anybody else, if you're in a fed that like calls for it, if that's how that's your style of promoing, I don't feel any kind of way about it. Knock yourself out. Do what you're gonna do. But if you try to post a video promo here, that's how you get cyberbullied.
Yeah. Now I will say, okay, Shosta's next question. What is the greatest accomplishment you ever achieved in eFeds? If there's one accomplishment you had to pick out that stands above all the rest, what is it?
If I in character would maybe be, if not the women's world title run, then my OWA world title run. But if we're speaking something that isn't as much of a traditional accolade, it's more of just something that I'm proud of. Surviving that chunk of time as the lone Odyssey writer. Because again, that is not what I signed up for.
Being a solo writer is a fucking accomplishment in and of itself.
I didn't think I could do it. But in that gap of time, I orchestrated the first women's clash. I didn't actually write it. Keelan wrote that to apologize. He wrote the whole thing by himself. But I oversaw that. I put together Pluto's Gate. I booked all of Pluto's Gate by myself. And that was so far to date the only Odyssey exclusive pay-per-view that went off without a hitch. And I oversaw all of the storylines all the women's storylines leading into FG1, and also the booking of the Battle Royal, and then obviously our entrance into the interbranded situations like Ascension to the Heavens. Yeah, that's my biggest accomplishment, is just making it from the fall of 2018 into the spring of 2019 so that I could hang on long enough for Jeff to come and throw me a fucking life preserver.
I would like to also say welcome to the call, Miss Daisy Thrash. It's great to see you here.
Daisy's here. I'm glad Daisy's here. I should also mention, while we're talking about Daisy, getting her, well, I shouldn't say getting her to come in, because Daisy volunteered. Daisy reached out to me, not the other way around. So Daisy coming out of her underground cave and hitting me up and saying that she wanted to come to Odyssey, and managing to keep all that shit under wraps too, because like Jeff had no fucking idea who she was. Jeff did not know this person, but I was like, hey, there's this girl, and she's legit, like she's vetted. She knows me, she knows Cloud, she knows Carlos, Goose, Rev, Nas, like the whole old crew. She's vetted. She's promoted against most of us.
Yep.
She's going to be a good fucking addition. And she wants to come in our Rumble. And Jeff was like, okay. And then I did the group DM between the three of us, because at that point, they had never met. They had never interacted. And that was Jeff and Daisy's first interaction with each other. And that was how we orchestrated her surprise debut. Nobody saw that shit coming. And stuff like that doesn't always completely work out. Because in EFED, everyone has hypotheses about shit. And sometimes people are
like real wrestling
about it. Yeah. Like, say, like, I think in chat, I think this person's going to win. I think this person's going to come out. I think this person's going to cash in. And it especially happens during fucking Rumble matches, especially when you know the match is going to have X number of participants, and you look at the graphic, and you only see 15 or 16 people out of the 20. And immediately, as soon as you post that, people are in the chat like, oh, is it going to be this person? Motherfuckers thought it was me. I was like, no, it's not. I'm not. People are is it Aria? Is it Claudia Michaels? Who the fuck is it going to be? None of them. It's going to be Daisy Thrash, and you're going to fucking like it. And they did.
Yeah, they
They
did.
did like it. Everybody who was familiar with her was so fucking excited to see her because they didn't see that shit coming.
And even
And
better than that, you saw that energy rub off on the people that didn't know her.
so that's something that I'm, as far as recent shit, that I'm pretty unrelated to anything, pretty happy about. Because new blood is always good, but it's doubly as good when you know that it's somebody who was new to here to OWA, but not new to fedding. And as you can see on the promo page, she can hold her own. So please don't leave. Please don't go back into your cave, Daisy.
Well, Mr. Rev asks you along the lines of championships that you'd want to win. He asked, what about the Big Baker Championship?
No.
That's it?
Yeah. No. What? Fine. Put some emphasis on that shit. Hell no.
Jesus, why? What happened?
Spice it up. I don't want that.
All right.
In Spanish, no.
Well, we're just gonna move on because I'm obviously not gonna get any more than that. Let's keep going here. Aria, why are you disrespecting my show like this? Bolympus is the flagship brand, says Nathan Fiora.
Well, I never want Nate to talk like that again. But Nate is this is a god. Nate is a fucking geek. There's nothing wrong with Olympus. I love and respect Olympus.
Let's say that's my baby.
Nobody was disrespecting Olympus. You just make shit up in your head. What was that? And that's just what I call them, Daisy. I said it as a joke once, and it just kind of stuck. I was saying redacted, and now I started saying the Jersey prison camp, and apparently it caught on. So.
From Young Maverick. Question: why have I got banned from Twitter, but Aria hasn't? Mav, you know why. That's a pointless question. You know why.
Well, like with all the other shit, yeah, because generally I don't even use my efed Twitter that much. Like all the other shit that he was doing, I don't fucking know. But in terms of the shit that went down recently, Valentine's Day weekend, I have no idea because Mav and I were damn near neck and neck when it came to wilding out. It was like two of us, Azumi, Jeff, Morgan was in on that shit. Oasis said what he needed to say. And hella people got sniped and nothing happened to me. And I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know if I didn't get reported or if, you see some of the shit that I was saying and you think better about wanting to beef with me. I don't know. I don't know, Mav. I have no idea. I don't have an answer for you.
Will someone break out the Ouija board? Because the next question comes from the ghost of Kenny Drake.
Oh, shit.
If you could bring anybody to OWA or bring anybody back, who would it be?
Am I allowed to say Brody? There isn't anybody. That I want.
It's anybody.
There isn't anybody else that I want. Like, anybody that we need is here. Like, everybody that I want to talk to on a daily basis, I do. Everybody that I wanted to keep betting with, I did. Even if they didn't all come over at once, even if it came in waves. Daisy showing up now proves that you can space shit out, but ultimately it's still going to happen.
And how we ended up getting Darkane when we were worried we would never get Darkane for the longest time.
How long it took Noah to show up.
Noah and Graham.
Like, it just, sometimes stuff takes a while, but what is going to be is going to be. And, seeing how long it took for people to show up for whatever reason, that's honestly the only person that I feel like we're missing is her. And so if we had to keep the Ouija board out, that's what it would be for. That's it.
Let me keep looking.
In school, Oasis. What are you talking about? Isn't he like 15?
Oh my god, yeah, that's true. Nate was smoking cocaine off of the backsides of strippers.
Okay,
we got to talk about that. No, we got to talk about that. Forget about the questions.
I said that as a joke. I said I need to just stop saying things because so many of the
No, you said it as a joke offhandedly, and then he wrote it into his next promo.
Yes, which is why I feel like I should just stop saying things. I should just stop speaking.
How did you go from that to a man of God?
Because anything is possible. So like the character that Nate had in like late 2016, early 2017, I had a hand in that myself because that was where the Rebecca Sawyer character that is the Odyssey ring announcer right now and has made sporadic appearances in OWT and eventually became the Jessica Rabbit to Lance Hart's Roger Rabbit.
that is their thing.
He makes me laugh. That's literally them. She started out as Nathan Fiora's longtime girlfriend / childhood friend / manager. And that's originally what I made that character for. And Nate, the character Nathan Fiora was like, he was living like fucking Nikki Sixx in late 2016. Like, he was out here.
He was living like Larry.
He was living like Larry. He was out here Tommy Leeing it up. And so seeing how the character was fucking living just like real, you know, just really this hedonistic lifestyle, I was like, man, Nate, like the next thing you know, you're gonna be fucking snorting coke out of a stripper's ass crack. And then he took it and ran with it. And it's one of those things that I said offhandedly and I didn't expect it to really be anything more than that. But if anything,
that's
like
how that's how the kitchen sink happened too.
Yeah, the kitchen sink. I was like, oh, where'd the kitchen sink come from? And you're like, I paid the rent in Azumi's apartment. I'll take the fucking sink. And I was like, that's the pettiest shit I've ever heard.
The best part about it, no, okay. So it's story time. Way back in the day, in like summer 2016, Azumi and I were a ship. We were a thing. We split up.
Real ones remember.
But the premise was, I helped her when she moved to America from Japan, and I got her first apartment. I bought her an apartment in Jersey.
Of all the places.
That's where I lived.
That's why you broke up. Because you tried to move her into fucking New Jersey. She's like, I deserve better. I deserve better than this.
So I left her the apartment after we split, but I took the kitchen sink and I ended up using it
as a weapon.
As a weapon in the chamber match.
Like, I always just imagined it like you could have gone out and bought a new one from Home Depot or from Lowe's, but you were like, no, I'm mad, and I'm just going to take the one out of this fucking apartment. Like, I'm just going to rip the whole plumbing fixture out of the wall, which...
I paid that whole apartment off for her to live in. What are you talking about?
See, this is why I said this. This is why I said this.
That's my kitchen sink. I bought that. She didn't pay for it.
You're not getting your security deposit back. You rip a sink out of an apartment, think they gonna let you skate? That landlord probably tried to kill you.
Listen, with how much money we make in this universe of pro wrestling, do I need that direct deposit back?
That's not the point.
We out here making money. Oasis and Jay own entire islands. You don't think we all getting paid?
That's ghetto as shit. I hope you know that. You just ripping out sinks out of apartments. But yeah, basically the moral of the story is I should just stop saying things because the things that I say offhandedly become canon and it's never normal shit. It's always weird shit. And I need to just stop. I need to stop.
I mean, you were the one that brought up the mac and cheese thing for Keelan as well.
Okay. How I should shut up. So I saw this Vice video, and I'm sure by now everybody has seen the Vice video. And it's the story of this 20-something white dude who lives in Florida that since the age of like 3 has only eaten mac and cheese. Boxed mac and cheese. Not baked mac and cheese. Boxed Velveeta mac and cheese. That's all he's eaten. And then it turns out he has like some sort of fucking childhood trauma that led him to only eat mac and cheese, which sounds fucking stupid. But the dude in the video, I remember linking it in chat because I thought it was so weird. Like I thought it was such an interesting video. I linked it in chat. And then Oasis pipes up like, why does that look like Keelan? And it was too late at that point. We already reached the point of no return. At that point, it just stayed. It's a thing now. Like there's a whole emote. Because apparently the dude in the video looks like Keelan.
There's 2 emotes.
There's two emotes. So all I will say to that is, have you seen Keelan and Mac and Cheese Boy in the same place?
Everybody throw your Keelans in the chat. Everybody throw up your Keelans.
Like, it took me a long time to see it, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I still don't completely see it. But I do think that Keelan and that dude have similar energy.
No. I see Keelan all the time since we're both fucking Twitch streamers now. That's Keelan. That's Keelan. It's him.
I'm still not 100% sold on it, but honestly, if you told me, like, if you showed me a picture of Keelan and you were like, that dude only eats boxed mac and cheese, I'd be like, yeah, probably. And now that he Twitch streams, it's not like he has time to make real food, like, so it makes more sense.
All right, our next question's for Rev. He says, top 5 carpools you could see happening between the rosters in OWA.
Oh, shit. Okay. I've actually thought about this a little bit. The first carpool that I'm just imagining, like, carpools that I would want to be in, like, a ride-along for, that I would just want to see footage of. Demo Corps for fucking sure. I would love to see how they travel from show to show. I don't know who's driving. Maybe April. Maybe April would be driving. I imagine Revi's license has been suspended, so I know she's not driving. And I know she's really bad with directions. Like, I can just feel it. So she's in the backseat. But April's driving. And Revi is not riding shotgun because shotgun means there's too many responsibilities. You might be in charge of music. You might need to roll the window down. You might need to... Revi's not doing that shit. Put her in the fucking backseat. It might be Janetta. Janetta might be riding shotgun. So April's driving, Janetta shotgun. Yorona also does not need to be in the front seat. And I say this because in cars, you can have limo tint in the back seat, but not the front seat. And I feel like if Yorona has warrants, we need her in the back seat with the limo tint where you can't see her. So Janetta doesn't get to pick the music, but you just need somebody in the front seat who is sane. So yeah, Demo Core carpool for sure. I need to see a Blacklist carpool.
Listen, bro.
I need to see Blacklist. What do 4 angry white dudes talk about on the road? We're about to find out.
Listen, it's not 4 dudes talking. It's Chase Vedder counting his blood money.
That's something else I should have said. The bag of blood diamonds weapon. I shouldn't have said that.
And then we made... Yes.
That's also something else that I said that I shouldn't have said.
Listen, you should never say any wild idea around Aaron of any kind, because he will always use it without fail. I think that's how Aaron's entire character formed. Why do you think his theme is Pretty Boy Swag? Somebody said it around him.
I want to see...
And then, like, that would be happening. Keelan would be just munching on mac and cheese, honestly. We gotta write that in. He's just eating mac and cheese the whole time.
Out the pot like a degenerate.
And then
that's the old boy in the video did it.
And then Cage and I are probably just being angry incels.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how else to say.
I need an awakening carpool. Nate has to drive because he's the leader. I feel like by default he has to drive.
Oh, Awakening.
Unless he wants to feel like he's being chauffeured, in which case then someone else
I
can
can see
drive.
Nate doing that shit in the back with his arms folded up and his feet kicked up while Schuster or fucking Eon is driving.
I feel like so there's only 4 of them, but I feel like Nate would require like he needs like an expedition, like some shit with 3 rows of seats, so he can be the only person in the backseat, like you said, with his feet kicked up, and then you can have TT and Eon can be in the front seat, and then Schuster's in the middle row by himself, and then Nate is in the back on some driving Miss Daisy type shit. That's 3. I need, because I need drama. I need the frontline carpool because most of those niggas don't like each other.
No, haven't you heard? Frontline is fine. I thought you heard.
Arata wouldn't piss on Rio if he was on fire. Are you kidding me? I need Jeff. I need Rev. We're gonna throw JD in there with his Kenny Drake Memorial T-shirt. We're gonna have Arata. We're gonna have Rio. We need someone else to drive. So we're gonna throw. Well, no, we need Theo in there. I'm assuming Theo is not driving because I don't even think Theo can read English yet. So he definitely has not taken his driver's test. And he can't go anywhere without Banch. But something tells me that Banch has DUI, so I don't think that Banch can drive. So we're gonna get Bo Marrow to drive.
Not Bo Marrow.
He's gonna drive. And I imagine that he drives like the fucking transporter because his pick base is Jason Statham.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, that's so 4.
If he's in the front seat, Rev gotta be next to him, so that's the front seat. And then
everybody else just crammed in the back?
You gotta... Okay, so, like, I think that Theo and Banch were wanted so that they were the only people in the middle row, but you gotta put Rio in the middle of them so you don't have to put Rio in the back with Jeff and Arata. Because if you try to put Arata and Rio in the same row, then the car's gonna have to get pulled over.
Let's just do a carpool of all the Asians.
Why?
Azumi, Arata, Rio, and Mungoose.
Rio goes in the trunk. That's fucked up.
Revy and April as well.
I low-key want an Odyssey carpool of like me and Jeff with like some people from the roster in there. So I imagine it would be like me and Jeff. I would have to drive because Jeff is gonna get us fucking pulled over. Jeff is gonna have an open container and then he's doing 90 on the freeway, and I don't want to get pulled over. So me and Jeff, and then I imagine Cloud will be in there. The Cloud, you got Monica. I feel like the demo core people wanted to get in, but we didn't let them because they're violent, and you don't need violence on long road trips. And then
so it would be Jeff and Queens.
Yes, basically, yeah. I think Jeff would have fun. Jeff would have fun.
Jeff, you heard it here first. You're a queen of wrestling.
Jeff would have fun because he wouldn't have to worry about getting a DUI because he wouldn't have to drive, so he would get to drink all he wanted. And then, last but not least, I need, for all of my NPC enthusiasts, I need Rev driving the OWT kids around.
Yes!
I need it. I just imagine, since, like, because you know how, like, FCW and NXT would do, like, that Florida loop? They would just do shows all over Florida.
Yes.
So I just imagine that it's kind of the same for OWT. They just do shows all over the Northeast. So since it's in Philly, they're probably going to, like, you know, Jersey and New York and Delaware and up into New England. And, you know, Rev just loads up, like, a fucking Ford Expedition and just crams all these 20-somethings in there. and they're fighting, and he's like, "Shut the fuck up before I turn this car around." He wouldn't do it though. They still have somewhere to be. But it would be, and the thing about it is like they're so big. Like some of them are like big. Like how many would you fit? Because like Travis Montana's fucking huge. Miller's gigantic. Haas is big as shit. How many are we even gonna fit? We don't know. It's gonna be like playing Tetris. Press is gonna be in a fucking suitcase at this rate. Like I don't know how. Sakuya's gonna be strapped to the ski rack. I don't know how we're gonna pull it off.
We're gonna have Ash Boyer fucking dangling in the back. like when you get into the wedding car and it's like the cans rattling behind the car.
Yeah, they're dangling behind. That's terrible.
That's Ash Boyer.
Poor Ash. Yeah, Cat would fit in the glove box. Yeah, that would be a fun one. Just OWT dad Michael Bishop trying to get some of his children to a house show on time, and the fact that they made him want to kill himself several times along the way.
Schuster with another question. Who was the most surprising person to turn up in SSW or OWA? The person that shocked you the most that showed up.
Well, Daisy's a serious contender. Because being the person that she reached out to facilitate her even showing up here, I wouldn't have seen that coming. Darkane was a big one because he seemed to have kind of removed himself from everything a little bit, which I kind of understand. So him showing up was a pretty big surprise. Noah and Graham, a couple of big ones. Because Noah, again, is somebody in the same vein as Darkane who seemed to have kind of removed himself from everything, and with good reason. And like Stark said, those Darkane and Noah were two really big gets. Huge gets, actually.
Happy birthday, by the way, to Savannah Sunshine. It's her birthday today.
It is her birthday. She can go see PG-13 movies now.
Damn, that's crazy.
Live it up. Who else? I think those are the only people that I can think of that there was doubt in our mind about whether or not we would actually see them. I guess we could throw Monolith in there. Monolith had that surprise showing in the Clash, and he fell off the map completely, which was very sad because he was such an important part of the mid card, and he just real life is important, and he showed up, and it was nice.
Yeah.
Those are the big ones. It's more than that, Daisy. What is the next question?
No Mio. Wait, what do you mean no Mio? No Mio for what? Now I'm confused. Oh, for the Asians. Yeah, Myojin. My bad. I don't know why. I know your character's Asian, but I always associate you with the niggas.
Because he is one.
Yeah.
Because you heard him talk, and then now you're like, oh, well, he's black.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Don't associate me just because of my voice.
It's too late.
Let me keep scrolling. Jesus, this is so far. I didn't realize we had this many questions.
I didn't either.
Oh, Stark has a question for you, Aria.
If it's the one that I just saw.
Did you hear about the earthquake in Kenya?
Suck my dick, Rayhan. He said bad. I hate him.
Alright, we finally made it all the way down. No, we're good. Carlos, we're good. I finally made it all the way to the bottom.
You can write that, Rev, by all means.
Please write cruise control. We could use cruise control as like something to add in as an extra fun thing for Final Destination week.
Honestly, when it comes to OWT stuff, I let you do whatever you want because I trust you with that, and so yeah, go ahead, go right ahead.
All right.
Something I've never won in e-fetting.
Yep.
I've dabbled in a little bit of everything, like up until forming the Queens with Cloud. I had actually never won a tag title, like ever. In all the feds I've been in, all the characters, I've done fucking promo feds. I did RP feds. I started in match writing feds, which is a very ancient concept. I did fucking Tumblr feds, and I had never won tag belts. Never won tag belts. And that, that was my big question mark up until September when we won those. And I've kind of done everything. Like I had actually not, oh no, that's not true. I had one mid card belt, but I didn't have much practice with holding mid card belts until winning
The Outlaw
winning
title.
the Outlaw title. So now I've done world titles. I've won tournaments. I've won Rumble style matches. I've done mid card tag. Well, I can't really say that I want for anything at this point. I'm really fortunate in that regard.
All right. Our next question from Stark. If you could choose any anime power in SSW, what are you taking?
Any anime power? I want instant transmission.
Instant transmission. The fucking GOAT.
I want instant transmission. Because that's such a fucking hack. Like,
just to be able to teleport wherever you want, whenever you want.
Yeah, wherever you want. That's just cheating. I love it.
Yes, our next question from Mr. Goose.
I'm scared.
You have the Dragon Balls. You get 3 wishes. What are you asking for?
Oh, okay.
You can do this both in and out of character if you want.
In and out of character. Okay. My first. So, I mean, everybody knows what we use the Dragon Balls for. We use the Dragon Balls to bring people back to life. So,
not necessarily.
I know, but for me, I'm using one to bring back my great grandma. I'm using the second one to bring back Brody. The third one, I don't know what I did the third one for. I want to use the third one so I never have to worry about money again. I want to be rich. I'm so fucking basic. I just want to be rich. Like, I want to be Mark Bezos rich. I want to be unreasonably rich. I want money.
Sense that if you don't bring back his mother with the third one, you're evil.
Why are you putting this pressure on? You know what? Everybody deserves to have their mom, though. So Mama Sen can have the third one. I can get rich some other way.
All right. Now, in character.
In character. I feel like my character would still... The first two would still be the same, just because, obviously, Brody passed both in character and out of character. We used that to write the character off. And I wrote... I guess just because it was so instrumental in why my character showed up when she did and the way that she did. I wrote that into, like... having her great grandmother pass, I wrote that into my character's backstory as well. So much so to the point that, my character has her own production company, and I named the company 1942 Productions after the year that my great grandma was born. So, yeah, the first two would probably be the same.
And I'm gonna take a stab that the third one this time around would be bringing back Kenny Drake.
Yeah. Yeah, because he just had to go and get himself killed. Just has no survival instincts like a typical white person. He had to go get murdered, so now I gotta fucking make sure his kid doesn't grow up screwed up. So, yes. I don't want to ask Apollos for shit, because then I have to owe Apollos something, and then that's a whole different set of problems, and then he feels like he has power over me, and I don't need that.
I want to welcome Azumi Goto into the call.
Hey. Yeah, I'm not asking Apollos.
Aria's fellow queen of wrestling.
You take that back. I'm not asking Apollos for a goddamn thing. But yeah, those
We've
are my
talked quite a bit about you.
Yeah, and she missed all of it.
It was all good.
Matt.
Don't worry. It was all
It was
good.
all good. What's the next question?
From Sinestro, what is the best and favorite memory you have of the Blastic legend known as Brody Sparks in or outside of EFEDS?
Oh God. Okay. There's a lot. Because like I said, we originally met in like early 2013. So I had been fedding for maybe not more than 6 months, maybe like 7 months, because I started fedding in July. But I think I met her in like January or February of 2013, and I don't know if we had any actual conversations at that point, but we ran in like the same group of people. We ran the same circle of feds. We were in WEW, which was World Elite Wrestling. I know that they're not still around, but that was where we realized we knew some
So
of the
y'all were
people.
elite before EAW.
Yeah, well, at that point, yeah, this was way before we joined, and I fell out of touch with her after that, and then I joined a fed outside of EAW in early 2016.
Carlos, we can hear your mic.
Oh, sorry.
Crunchy. I joined a fed in early 2016, and I was talking to the people in the chat box on that fed.
The true elite.
And I started talking to she was going by the name Rain at that time. She wasn't going, obviously the Brody character didn't exist, and she wasn't going by her real name yet, which was Mavis. And the name sounded really familiar. And the graphics that she did looked really familiar. So at first I got her confused with somebody else. There was this girl we had known named Ray. And I asked if they were the same person, and she was like, no, well, but Ray taught me how to do graphics. And that's when we started to realize that we'd actually met before, and we knew some of the same people. Like that was the fed I joined in 2016 was also where I met Andrea Valentine, aka White Stephanie, that some of you know from the Jersey prison camp. That was also where I met her. That was where I met Braden What's His Face, the Demon had beef with, that he threw the piss test on in that one segment.
Braden, oh my god, why am I forgetting his last name?
I don't remember what the character's last name was. I know his real name was Dale, because that was who I met him as. But,
Dale.
His name was Dale, like from King of the Hill.
That's Jeff's boy.
That was where I met him, and we started talking, and I realized, I was like, damn, it's a shame I had never really talked to her before that, because we got along really great. We had a lot in common, and we started talking about the other feds that we were in, and I linked her to the Jersey prison camp, and I was like, oh, this is my main fed right now. And she's like, oh, I was looking at that place last summer. I was gonna join, but I thought better of it because some bitch took Sasha Banks.
And there it is.
It was me. So my favorite in-character memory of her would have to be that lead up of promos to the chamber match that unfortunately she never actually got to see herself in. But those were the best promos that I'd seen from her, even better than the ones in the specialist title chamber from the year before. She was in rare fucking form. It was so much to the point where I thought I was going to drop to her in that chamber, and I would have been perfectly okay with it. But getting to interact with her one last time and promo against her that one last time, I still am happy that I at least got to have that and got to compete against her one more time.
Everybody throw up your blue hearts.
My favorite out of character memory was when I bought her pizza. She didn't think I was actually going to do it.
Oh, I remember that. That was on Skype.
It was on Skype. She didn't think I was serious. She had mentioned something about, I had mentioned pizza, and then she had mentioned like, oh, I really want pizza, but I'm kind of strapped for cash right now. And I was like, give me your address. And so she was like, are you serious? I was like, yes, give me your address. And I found the Pizza Hut that was closest to her house in Florida, and I sent her and her mom pizza. And that's my favorite out of character memory of me and her. And there's a lot, because we had a lot of conversations and our characters interacted quite a bit over several feds, but those are the ones. Those are the ones that stick out in my mind. Those are the first ones I think of. If anybody was gonna ask that question, I figured it was gonna be Sen.
She'd be so down with the fuckery matches today.
She would. That's what
it would be insanity.
I have to say that for the people who didn't get the pleasure of getting to meet her and have to hear about her in passing and hear about her secondhand. She would
have lost her shit watching Sen versus Jeff.
Oh, when I tell she invented fuckery. She patented the fuckery because she would just say shit.
Yeah, she would.
She didn't have no fucking filter. There was no voice in the back of her head like, maybe you shouldn't say that. No, she was gonna say that shit. She was gonna say that shit, and everybody always welcomed it because it was never
the Black Mamba. The Black Mamba. Talk about the Black Mamba.
Okay, so the Black Mamba was we did these extreme elimination chambers where we got to pick our own weapons, right? And everybody always wanted to pick something unique. Like I did that was when I came up with the brass knuckle tasers, which are actually a real thing. You can Google it. And I thought I was really doing something. I was like, oh, this is it. Like, nobody's going to do anything this creative. And she was like, my magnum opus. And it was a dildo wrapped in barbed wire. And she called it the Black Mamba. And I have never seen anything. And she was dead serious, too. Like, this was not meant to be a joke. Like, she was going to fucking walk out there with that shit.
No, she did. She did. I wrote this match.
She did. And she was 120% serious, and she did that shit, and it was over. Like she was so down with the fuckery. She never took herself too seriously.
I remember when our entire group lost their minds when we saw her thirsting after goddamn Apocalypse.
Bro, I was scared for her. I was like, you don't need that. You don't need that.
We all lost our minds.
When I had to convince her to come into that fed because she looked around and she saw how people promoted and she saw the signups and she was like, I don't think I'm at that level. And I was like, you're going to be fucking fine. Like, just come on, just join. I promise everything is going to be fine. You're going to like it here.
Consider this conversation a precursor, by the way, because down the line, I'm going to gather a bunch of people together like you, Cloud, Sen, Carlos, Azumi, a lot of people that were close to her. Oasis, and we're all just going to sit back and we're all just going to have a long conversation about the life and memory of Mavis. That's definitely a future episode I want to do.
Yeah, she was really she just was not sold on the idea that she could step outside of the bubble that she was in. And every day I'm glad. I don't remember exactly what I said. I don't know what it was that made her like just listen to me, but every day I'm glad that she did, because if she hadn't, I would not have had that last year and a half with her. And I'm glad that she came because she also got to have that year and a half with everybody else, with so many of the people who were here in this chat, with Nas, Carlos, Oasis, Keelan, Sen, JD, Azumi, like just going down the list of the chat. Kenny, like it fucked us up when she died. I can't sugarcoat it. It fucked people up. But when it affects you like that, when somebody passes away, you know that you cared and you know that they lived a life worth living. And so I never expected to meet people like that in these feds. I didn't. I really didn't. But it means that you lived a life worth living and that you made your time on Earth worth it if your death affects people like that. Nobody had a bad thing to say about her when she died. I think when people pass away, people always feel like it's taboo to be honest. And nobody ever had to worry about that with her because she never did. Like, she only did good things when she was around us. She was such a source of joy and positivity. She always propped other people up ahead of herself, both in her real life with her mother and with her family and with all of us. She was everybody's biggest fan. She went to bat for people before she ever went to bat for herself. And she never quite gave herself credit for how much of an asset she was to our community in an efedding sense, whether we're talking about how great of a promo she was or how good her graphics were, how much she improved, how great of a character she was, or in terms of just how good she was as a person. All of the inside jokes that she had with all of us, all the times that she made us laugh, all of just the fuckery that she brought. She would have fit in perfectly here because
Too
she
well.
was down for the fuckery. Anything that y'all can think of that we've done here that was just absurd, she would have been for it. She would have been for Abholos. She would have been for the Great War. She would have been for the chamber spots. She would have been SSW especially. She would have been so down. So down. She would have fit in like a glove. And I guess like looking at the things that we've done to honor her since we've been here with, you know, the tag team match at the first Civil War, or the fact that we've named our version of the Female Alpha of the Year award after her, or that she's in our Hall of Fame. You know, she never got to see this fed come to fruition. She never got to be here. She didn't get to meet a lot of you guys. But I can't sit here and pretend, especially when I'm in charge of the women's show, that her fingerprints aren't all over this shit, because they are. She influenced this place in ways that she'll never get to see. But I say honestly that when I look at my roster, I see some of her in all of them. I read the promos and I look at the signups and I see some of her in everybody that I write. And even if you guys didn't actually get the chance to meet her, trust me, that's a good thing.
And on that note, is there any final questions or inquiries that any of you have for Aria? Or just final comments in general? Goose says that he loves you, Aria.
I love you too, Goose. Shut up, Mav. Nobody likes you.
Oh, yeah, my apologies, Carlos. Okay, my apologies. Carlos asked you about dream matches. So we answered this question earlier, but you can go ahead and give a summarized version for Carlos since he wasn't here for that. And there were many other people that joined since then that were not here for that.
I don't like to call them. I think I said this in my promo against Natalie. I don't like to call them dream matches because in that case, there's like an element of, you know, an air of unbelievability to them, and I feel like in EFED anything can happen. And I'm not chasing any matches with anybody, but if these particular matches happen, I wouldn't be mad about it. I think I said Hana because I've already faced Arata, but I haven't faced Hana. So
Stark said you're scared to 1v1 him.
I am not. I'll punch him in his bird chest. No, I'm not. I'm not scared to face anime niggas. I'm not scared. Stark don't scare me. I'll beat Stark and then take his dog.
You'll beat Stark and then take Raven.
And then take Raven because I have the audacity. I will address these allegations on my OmegaCast. I would love to face Alyssa. I would love to face. What else haven't I faced? Elijah Hampton. I love that character. If Stark really wants to get his shit pushed in, we can 1v1 whenever. Carlos said he would love to do Aria versus Emmanuel. I would love. I don't know how. I mean, I feel like that one would require a little bit more gymnastics, but I would be down because I really like that character.
Did you hear, Sen?
Give me that. Why can't you just let me have nice things? God. Sends like, oh, Black History Month is over. Fuck this bitch. I have come to reappropriate. I would love to face Myojin. We are on the same roster, so that one shouldn't take too much finagling. I can't really count facing JD anymore because like that's finally gonna happen
Once again, Oasis, I hope you're taking notes listening to these matchups.
After like 5 or 6 years. I never faced Goose 1-on-1. Never faced Jacob Knight 1-on-1. Never faced Finn 1-on-1. I have not faced Nate 1-on-1 as Nathan. I faced him as Caspian. But
Azumi, knowing my computer speed, this episode being as long as it is, it'll probably take like an hour to like an hour and a half to upload. So that's not too long.
So yeah, I think those are the people that jump out the most, but people know me. I'll face anybody. I'll face anybody.
Nah, I've been recording. I've been timing it the whole time.
Oh shit. Yeah, I'll face anybody. But those are the ones that jump out at me.
Imagine if I wasn't recording.
I would. We would have to meet halfway and fight.
When can you be on the podcast? You're on the list, bro. You're on the list. Honestly, I'm not going direct. I'm not going specifically by the list because I know everybody has. No, I am recording. Can we stop this?
Stark was like, you gave her an aneurysm. I'm scared. We're here for no reason.
Oh my god.
That would suck ass. We're gonna turn on Craig.
Shit, I mean, how long are y'all planning to sit in here and listen to people talk?
Yeah, you didn't get to hear me simping for you, Azumi. I was saying nice things about you, and you weren't here.
Don't worry, Azumi. Okay. You'll be able to hear it soon.
It's okay. That's not what I said. Rev, I will cut off your other leg. You're gonna be out here looking like Lieutenant Dan. Don't play with me.
All right. Well, the question is, does anyone want to go next?
Like tonight? Because I gotta go to work in the morning.
Well, that's fine. I'm just asking in general. If someone actually wants to go tonight, then that's fine.
Bro, y'all don't have jobs? What is going on here?
All right, no, we gotta do Stark. We gotta do Stark. I gotta do this.
He said I'm off it. Oh shit. Oh fuck.
All right, so first off,
Stark is off the NyQuil.
All right, Stark, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to close this episode out, and then I'm going to immediately start recording again, and then you can hop off of mute, and we'll start yours. So I guess you guys can start your questions for Stark immediately.
I am.
In the meantime, Aria, go ahead and say your goodbyes to the people.
Okay, well, I would like to thank everybody for showing up on such short notice, because I got tagged in at the last second. This was originally not going to have anything to do with me at all. And I didn't know that it was going to be... Initially, I didn't know that it was going to be, like, live, like, Q&A format. But a shit ton of you guys showed up, and you were engaged. And you weren't bored by me that I know of. So, thank you. And I meant everything that I said as far as, feeling protective of this community and feeling... grateful for all of you guys and being happy that of all of the bullshit that transpired about this time 3 years ago that we were able to carve out something as lovely as OWA. And thank you for all the congrats on the Hall of Fame spot. And there'll be a lot more of the sappiness and all that bullshit in my Hall of Fame speech.
Well, with that, I'm Nas, and we're going to be signing off here with the Aria Jaxon episode. We'll be right back momentarily with the Majin Stark episode.
Oh shit.